And so Ed Policy's taken over as the Packers president on July 25th at the Packers annual shareholders meeting. It's kind of cool. The Packers have this mandatory retirement age of 70 for the team president. So Mark Murphy's going to be 70, or he might even be 70 at this point. And he has to step down. So Ed Policy's going to take over. And with that happening, your team president changes. You could see some changes. The Packers are a very consistent franchise. They have this thing down pat. They know how to run a football team better than most.
He did say maybe the stupidest thing I've ever heard about Green Bay, though.
What?
He said that Green Bay was his Shangri-La. I'm sorry. You can say you like Green Bay. There is nothing about Green Bay. I mean, we've been to Green Bay now. There is nothing about Green Bay that screams Himalayan monastic utopia.
I didn't hear that quote. I don't know what he's talking. So maybe the Packers might be screwed. That could be the take where they have a lunatic in charge here. But jokes aside, he said the 3 goals were 1, win football games. I think that's a good goal. 2, and it caused a little bit of a stir online, keep the Packers in Green Bay. They're not going anywhere. That's just, he was just talking to you. Like the order of things that could happen.
I actually think that should probably be number 1.
Yeah, that probably would be
priority.
If that is, that can't actually be a priority.
I'm curious, Packers fans, if the Packers left Green Bay, right? Say they go to where are people in expansion teams? Mexico City, Seattle.
Vegas. Sorry, London.
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah, they go international. The Seahawks move to Oklahoma City, and the Packers go to Seattle. Whatever. Would you be rooting for the Packers? Would you be excited if Jordan Love wins a Super Bowl as the Oklahoma City Packers?
I don't think if the Vikings moved, I think it would change everything. Like that's your team, and that's it shouldn't be a. It's weird that it is a priority. It should be a priority, but it's weird that's on the list. But nothing's changing. Like the NFL will, right before the NFL shuts down, the Packers will leave Green Bay. The people just won't let that happen. And the last one was strengthen the community, which is a very wholesome answer from Ed Policy.
It's unclear what that means. But
yeah, so it really did. It did seem like someone handed him a slip of paper and was like, read these 3 things. Briefly here, he did say regarding Brian Gutekunst, regarding Matt LaFleur, talking about their standing right now, and Russ Ball, the vice president, director of football operations in Green Bay. His quote was, "All 3 of them are under multi-year contracts. None of them are up at the end of the year. We won't be doing anything going into this season." He did say, "I'm generally opposed to a coach or GM going into the last year of their contract. That creates a lot of issues. I think normally you have a pretty good idea where that relationship is going when you have 2 years left. Not always, but normally." So regarding that comment there, some people start talking about could LaFleur and Gutekunst be on the hot seat? And really, the answer is basically no. Now, if the Packers come out and have a stinker of a season, things change quickly in the NFL, as we know. It's a week-to-week league. They win 5 games. Heads could roll. If we're being blunt, heads could roll in Green Bay if they win 5 games. That would be a enormous disappointment. But if expectations become reality, this team should win double-digit games and go back to the playoffs. No one's getting fired. They're going to get their extension going into next season, and it should be fine. You can have a conversation about, how much pressure are the Packers? We talked about this. How much pressure are the Packers on to win this year? These statements don't change anything. Jordan Love and Green Bay have Super Bowl expectations because they're the Green Bay Packers and they're in the business of winning Super Bowls. And their team is really good. I said a couple months ago, I think the Super Bowl expectations might be a little much given that they haven't even been to a championship game. But that's kind of what it is in Green Bay. That's what they expect to do. They expect to be competing for the Super Bowl. And I think that's fair. To expect to just win it is a little crazy. But that doesn't change because Ed Policy says Brian Gutekunst and LaFleur don't have contracts coming. Don't have a contract extension going into this season. That won't change at all.
But there is an interesting question here. I don't think that LaFleur and Gutekunst's fates are necessarily connected. Because I think if you look at what's actually happened, I think that LaFleur has done a much better job than Gutekunst. Here's what I mean. I know Packers fans sometimes get upset with LaFleur, and there are things to be upset about. This man had the youngest team in the NFL back-to-back years. He took them to the playoffs back-to-back years. You go back the past 15 years of youngest teams in the NFL, other than the Packers, not a single one of them made the playoffs. Only Green Bay. He handled Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers leaving, and Jordan Love, you can say, well, Gutekunst made the draft pick. You can pick quarterbacks all you want. You need great coaching to get quarterbacks to reach their potential. And whether or not you like the extension Jordan Love signed, they've done a very good job, much better than the average. What was he, the fourth quarterback taken in his own draft, the fifth quarterback taken?
4. Yeah.
He is 4, right? Yeah. Much better than the average fourth quarterback taken in their draft. LaFleur, I think, has done a great job coaching this team. He's been aware of his own blind spots and has done his best to try and hire people to do it. People love him in the building. Gutekunst, I'm less sure about. I think he's done a great job building a competitive team. But at a certain point, the first round misses add up. The fact they don't make the free agent additions at the key positions add up. Now, you can say they're being cautious and being reserved, and that's how smart organizations operate. But there is a risk, I think, that Gutekunst makes them the Green Bay Steelers. Right? They're always very good. There's always a couple glaring positional needs that don't quite get addressed. They've got their way of doing things, and that's it. And it never results in a Super Bowl. Green Bay is not going to be sad. Now, I think that's a doomsday scenario.
Yes.
I don't think that he's on the hot seat. But if you're asking who of them is more secure, I would be flabbergasted if LaFleur doesn't get an extension next year.
Me too. Stunned. Totally blown away.
I can see a world where they say Gutekunst, if they identify somebody they think would do a better job. I think there are many more available GMs who would be better than Gutekunst, and there are coaches who would be better than LaFleur.
In a world where they disappoint and the pass rush is just horrible, and maybe Matthew Golden flops, and these issues that needed to be addressed are that really weren't, other than Golden at receiver, but these areas of need that weren't addressed become a glaring problem, then maybe that conversation starts. I'd be really surprised. Like, as you said, I'd be really surprised if Gutekunst and LaFleur are not given extensions. But yeah, that's the doomsday scenario, which, by the way, some of the Avengers doomsday photos are starting to leak. I'm getting kind of excited for that, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, the Packers, I don't think there's anything too much to worry about here. I don't think there's anything to worry about, but
the Packers as an organization, I mean, you could have prime Bill Belichick and whoever you want to see. You could have the best front office and the best coach in the history of football. They would not extend them 2 years out. That's just not how. The Packers are one of those teams where they have a way of doing business and they basically never deviate.
Well, that's why
it's good. There's nothing here.
That's why, they the same way they handle their players, same way that they move on from Favre and Rodgers. Like they have their philosophy and they stick to it. And you know what? They've been very successful with that. In policy, one other quote he had there, I'm not looking at it, so I'm going to loosely paraphrase it here. He was just saying, like, his job is to, give these guys the resources to do their jobs. They don't have 2 GMs. They don't have 2 coaches. But then ultimately, and I thought that this was a pretty resounding quote, hold them accountable. And that to me was the one phrase he said. I was like, okay, he's not I don't know. It just came off weird to me. I know that he's saying that's his job, which it is, but that was just a little bit of a weird, like, all right. It was not a calling out of LaFleur and Gutekunst, but Gutekunst said sense of urgency needs to be picked up. Like, there's definitely something in the water in Green Bay where, like, all right, we can't fall into this rut, and that's why this season does have a little added weight to it. It's because now it feels like this is the time, at least the time to make some serious playoff noise. So we'll see what happens, but it was certainly some memorable quotes out of that press conference there.